In the headlines tonight, $1 million effort is being made to ensure vulnerable Barbadians' homes are resilient to hurricanes. The sugar harvest gets underway on Monday. This year's Agrofest being billed as one of the largest since the COVID-19 pandemic. And in sports, it will be South Africa versus Australia in the finals of the ICC Women's T20 World Cup.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC NewsNight, starting now.
Hello, I'm Shane Seeley. Leading the news at 7, a major investment this year by government to shore up the homes of vulnerable Barbadians as the 2023 hurricane season beckons. The disclosure at a post-cabinet news conference, or Crystal Hoyt has the details. Crystal?
Good night, Shane. Good night to our viewers. Government is investing just over $1 million to make Barbadian homes storm-resistant ahead of the hurricane season, which begins in 3 months. The money, which is coming from the Catastrophe Fund, will result in 5,000 hurricane strap kits being procured for distribution to those living below the poverty line.
This is a hurricane strap here, just like this, and you can see it has screws in it. It goes on essentially to the rafters and to the ring beam, and it helps to hold the rafter of your roof down. And you put on 4 of these at the 4 corners of the house, together with what's called a cross beam. Now, it isn't absolutely that will absolutely save every single roof, but it will significantly add to the resilience of your roof.
And while government is hoping to provide a total of 10,000 kits free of cost to the most vulnerable, Senior Minister in the Office of the Prime Minister, Dr. William Duguid, is stressing the importance of the average Barbadian purchasing a kit and securing their home. A kit will cost about $250.
It's not inexpensive. They're significant. It's a significant amount of money, but it is still something in comparison to what you'd be spending if you have to replace a roof or replace rafters. And whether we like it or not, if you lose a roof or part of your roof, then you know what happens? The internal parts get damaged, and that becomes much, much more expensive. So sometimes spending $250, even if you're not a person under the poverty line, to save on your cost should you have damage, it is a good investment in your house.
On the cultural front, Cabinet has approved the calendar for the Season of Emancipation, which will begin on April 14th and conclude on August 27th. Minister in the Prime Minister's Office with responsibility for culture, Senator Dr. Chantel Munro-Knight, shared details on what's to be expected.
We will be returning to the full gamut of the crop over calendar and events that we're accustomed to. So that means that this year, unlike last year, we will see again Junior Kadooment will be on the calendar. Last year we moved to Pandemonium, and that was extremely successful, so that will return.
Perhaps one of the most asked questions will be about the Grand Kadooment route on August 7th. And while Cabinet has made a decision, it will not be announced until next week.
We have committed to our stakeholders a process of dialogue, and Cabinet made that decision just yesterday. We do want to have the opportunity to go back to our stakeholders to have some discussions with them so that they are comfortable, and together then we will, by very early next week, be making an announcement on the crop over route.
And in sports, Cabinet has approved the new National Sports Policy, which aims to use sports for social development and economic prosperity. Minister of Youth, Sports and Community Empowerment Charles Griffith highlights some of the objectives.
To develop the development of a sporting economy, the development of sustainable high-performance systems, and we will work in concert with the University of the West Indies. We will work in concert with those coaches who are functioning at that level to ensure that we have absolute podium finishes going forward.
And as it relates to the National Stadium, negotiations are at the advanced stage, and when signed off, the demolition of the existing stadium is to commence in a matter of months. Those are some of the major announcements coming out of today's post-cabinet media briefing. Shane?
Thank you, Crystal. Well, the 2023 sugar harvest gets underway on Monday. That's the word from the Agriculture Minister, Inda Weir. Crystal Hoyt is back with that story.
The announcement of the start of sugar harvest signals what is expected to be a greater yield than that of last year.
We've estimated that we will harvest 107,000 tons of cane this year, which is an increase of 12,558 tons, or 13% increase year on year. The increase in volume is attributed to increased acres planted and increased yield because we have now invested in the hot water treatment to get rid of the ratoon stunting disease, and therefore our yields now are increasing.
The lone operating sugar factory, Portville, is ready.
We completed a major boiler retubing exercise. The systems within the factory have been tested successfully. The factory will conduct a steam trial today. Normally we conduct steam trials to make sure that all the pressure on the tubes in the boiler, etc., can withstand the consistency that is required. The factory is projected to produce 5,229 tons of sugar and 7,100 tons of molasses in 2023.
He says the Barbados Agricultural Management Company is exporting sugar to regional and international markets.
We've done exports to Trinidad and to St. Lucia, and now we're getting into the U.S. market. 22 tons of packaged sugar has been exported to the USA. That shipment left on February 10th, and we will do another shipment in March.
Barbados is no longer exporting sugar in bulk, but rather packaging and branding its product. Crystal Hoyt, CBC News.
The 2023 edition of the National Agricultural Exhibition Agrofest is underway at Queen's Park, and it's being billed as one of the largest since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic. Rihanna Phillips visited the venue.
Queen's Park in Bridgetown has come alive and will continue to be a hive of activity for the next 2 days for Agrofest.
This exhibition is really the marquee event on the calendar in Barbados, and is what we have been doing over the course of the last few years. We've been deeply engaged with the Minister and the Ministry of Agriculture to ensure that what we do here is reflective of all Barbados, that what we do here is going to be very focused on ensuring that we have the type of food security that is very critical in this new dispensation.
And government has praised the organizing team from the BAS for pulling off yet another edition featuring both local and regional businesses.
I'm indeed happy to associate myself with Agrofest, with the organizers, James Paul, Henderson, Williams, and the rest of the team at the BAS, and indeed the entire stakeholders in the agricultural sector. I am pleased to note that there are some 260 local exhibitors, plus some 43 from Guyana, giving us a total of just over 303 or just around. This means that Agrofest is continuing to grow.
It's the second year a contingent from Guyana is participating. They've brought a range of products such as woodwork, furniture, condiments, clothing, and leathercraft. Director of Export Promotion with the Guyana Office for Investment, Kibian Chester Harding, says it's all about deepening ties and trade between the two nations.
Last year we had more persons into business looking to partner with persons not really displaying, but this year we have, I must say, the exhibitors this year, 85% of them, it's the first time here exhibiting in Barbados. As the Export Promotion Director, what we're looking to do is have more Guyanese products on the Bajan market, and it's the same for the exhibitors. They want to have their products here, so we're going to assist them in getting that done.
Although schools are currently on midterm break, many of them still mounted displays here in the park and facilitated tours for their students.
We are from St. James Primary School. We have two rabbits here at Agrofest. This one right here is a New Zealand white rabbit, and this one right here is a Flemish giant. The Flemish giant will grow very big, and the New Zealand white has red eyes. We are hoping to breed the rabbits next year so we can bring some to Agrofest next year. We started from last week because we got them last week, and all of the students get to have a chance to feed them and give them water.
And Grantley Adams Memorial returned with its Express Salon, offering manicures, pedicures, haircuts, and natural hairstyles.
Grantley Adams School has always had a presence at Agrofest, And at the same time, within our school curriculum, the students are being taught the customer service unit in the CVQ. So we thought that coming here would also enhance what is being taught at school, and the children can put into practice what is being taught in the classroom.
17-year-old student Kizaya Grosner tells us about her experience.
It's going well. I love meeting new people and having new clients and hearing about other people's experiences on everything that's going on.
The exhibit will switch gears over the weekend when many competitions are set to come off. Rihanna Phillips, CBC News.
Thank you, Rihanna. Meanwhile, we hear that the egg and poultry producers locally, they're saying they need a decrease in feed prices to return to government social compact. While the association supports the initiative to ease consumers, President of the Barbados Agricultural Society, Henderson Williams, says the input cost of feed cannot be ignored.
The Barbados Egg and Poultry Producers Association is willing to return to government social compact if its members get a better price from Barbados' largest feed plant, Roberts Manufacturing. This from President of Barbados Agricultural Society, Henderson Williams, who says the company's plan to increase the price leaves them no choice but to opt out of the compact.
An increase in feed will have a dramatic impact, a huge impact on the production of protein. Feed itself makes up 75 to 80% of the cost of production for animal to market. And that being the case, if you have an 8% increase in feed prices, it automatically affects your production costs, which of course will affect your ability to price it to market and your profitability. So if the BEPPA or any other member association gets an ease on feed, it ultimately will translate to the benefit of the consumer.
While the egg and poultry producers were able to participate initially, a number of factors impacted their decision this time around.
Globally, what was happening in relation to feed prices, what was happening with hatching eggs, for example, and a reduction in the overall production in Barbados. Some persons actually dropped out of the association and now they're in a recovery mode.
But despite being in recovery, he says the egg and poultry producers are willing to return under better conditions, since all of the commodity groups support government's initiative to ease consumers.
There's a consultation going on with Minister and the largest or the only feed plant in Barbados. They're still open to participation if indeed the conditions allow them to do so.
The impact of the compact over the last 6 months was undeniable for farmers.
Some farmers struggle to even break even. So as long as we have a situation where the cost of feed continues to escalate, we will have a challenge. To the extent that we will have exits of the market. And if we have exit, it means there could be an opportunity for scarcity.
That, he says, could result in the need to import. Roberts Manufacturing has declined to comment. Crystal Hoyt, CBC News.
Operations are back to normal at 2 branches of Chefette restaurants that were affected by a brief work stoppage this morning. Communications and Informations Manager with the Barbados Workers Union, Shane Jones, says the issue had stemmed from a misunderstanding which has since been resolved.
There was a small misunderstanding concerning a matter before the Barbados Workers Union and Chefette, which led to a slight disruption at 2 locations this morning. However, that matter was swiftly resolved and the workers are back on the job. Now, we're dealing with human beings, so from time to time there will be small misunderstandings and miscommunication sometimes. But the important thing is that everyone is now on the same page and the workers are back on the job.
Well, coming up on Newsnight, the latest from the estimates, we'll hear why the Minister of People Empowerment and Elder Affairs is pleading with Barbadians. A senior minister here in Barbados is suggesting that the CARICOM Development Fund is insufficient given the scope of development projects for member states. The Minister of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, Kerry Simmons, says the fund over its time hasn't surpassed $200 million. Minister Simmons' comments came during the 2nd Canada-Caribbean Symposium at the UWI Cave Hill campus.
The revised Treaty of Chaguaramas speaks of countries, regions, and sectors which are under or less developed getting benefits for those underdeveloped regions and sectors so as to enable them to more rapidly develop. I'll give you a case in point. There is a need to build a better trade bridge, literally, between St. Kitts and Nevis. That has been costed, if you were to literally build a physical bridge, at 150 million United States dollars. A Caribbean Development Fund that has in $200 million would be depleted virtually on that one project alone.
The senior minister sees opportunities for Caribbean countries in signing on to a dedicated development assistance fund of $1.5 billion for CARICOM, which is being offered by the African Export-Import Bank.
All have not yet done so, and again, it is not for me in this place to get into that. But if all were to sign on, it would be a $3 billion access, $3 billion fund access. Now, above and beyond that, there's also the question of us having a credible platform for commercial and industrial development. I also feel that perhaps the most unspoken success of the relationship with the Afro-Exim Bank is that they have a willingness and a capacity to finance the building of national standards institutions in this region.
In other news on Newsnight, the Minister of People Empowerment and Elder Affairs, Kirk Humphrey, is tonight pleading with Barbadians to do better as he called attention to cases of elderly abandonment at government-run health care facilities. The plea came as the presentation continues on the appropriation bill. Here's what he had to say.
And I could tell you that currently there are now 4 persons who are basically elderly persons who are basically abandoned at Harrison's Point. There are 9 persons, elderly persons, who are basically abandoned at the QEH. And of course, they become the responsibility of the state, and the caring state will look after them. But we have to do better than that. And I know that when a family has to deal with dementia or any of these other old age diseases that come as a consequence of aging, that it becomes very difficult to deal with. And we have to find a way to help families deal with those things.
And our Wendy Burt joins us live now with more on the estimates presentation. Wendy?
Good evening to you, Shane. Good evening to our viewers. The need for more government daycare centres was raised during questioning by Deputy Prime Minister Santia Bradshaw. Director of the Childcare Board, Roseanne Richards, says with the volume of wait lists, it's something they have to look into.
I think we may have to look at, as a department, a ministry, and possibly a government, building more day nurseries, because there is request, and I think that the fact that the fees are so small, it is great attraction for persons to want to get their children. Not only the fees, but what we offer. The package is very good, so that is something that we would have to look at going forward, building additional daycare facilities.
The Deputy Prime Minister also queried the progress of the People's Assemblies.
I note that you have a budget again this year for the People's Assemblies. Obviously, this administration would have brought an end to what we consider to be not the best approach in relation to getting participation of the public in governance in this country. There was obviously a process that was taking place previously where it did not necessarily allow for persons to be elected. We're of the view that that obviously led in many cases to the allegations of political partisanship. The resources that were allocated often did not meet the needs of the community, and we basically took a position that we would bring that to an end. I know we've done a lot of work by appointing the Thorne Commission to be able to look into another form of local government.
Deputy Permanent Secretary Mark Franklin says the money allocated in the estimates is for public relations.
We've had some meetings with the members of the Thorne Commission, led by, I believe it was Mr. Thorne, Ms. Ralph Thorne, We formulated a public relations plan to inform the public about the rationale for the People's Assemblies, the benefits and so on that would accrue from the People's Assemblies. We've done things like how to be creative, formulation of like skits and so on and so forth, so that we could sell and just to sensitize the public as to what we need to do.
Permanent Secretary Jehu Wilshire says they're looking to get things going in the next financial year because there are deficiencies in local government.
One of the I don't want to say error, but one of the deficiencies in our form of governance, as you alluded to, was the fact that we do not have some form of local government, because the People's Assemblies are essentially intended to ensure that community concerns are drawn to the attention of the relevant authorities, and those persons who will be sitting in the People's Assemblies obviously are closer to the ground, or will be in a better position to articulate the concerns of the various communities. So we have provided a substantial amount of money in the 23-24 estimates for the People's Assemblies. The plan going forward is to have a comprehensive public education program which we wish to roll out early in the new financial year.
The final report on the People Assemblies has been completed, and Minister Humphreys says it should soon be before the House. Minister Kirk Humphreys said the final report has been submitted. Well, Shane, that's all from the floor today. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Wendy. In other news here, well, it was all about African fashion today at the Caribbean Broadcasting Corporation, as some of our staff decided to hit the virtual catwalk. As part of African Awareness Month activities, the Quality Control Department, hip hip for them, decided to dress up in their traditional African garb and pose for the camera. The concept for the outfits is the brainchild of our very own Andrea Esrick.
Everything was individually planned. I ensured that everyone got the color that suited them, the fabric, the style. Every design was different. Like, for example, when I first saw Jewel's fabric, I saw the fabric and I said, this is Jewel. And then in creating the style, I said, and she had the perfect shoes.
Ladies looking really lovely there. Now, supporting the initiative, manager of CBC TV8, Jewel Ford, described it as an opportunity for staff to showcase their hidden talents.
I really thought that when Andre came up with this idea, that it was such a positive thing and such a shining light that a member of staff who works in one department that is so technical has this other creative side that allows her to express her personality and who she is. And this was just a wonderful initiative, and we look forward to doing more. CBC celebrating its 60th anniversary in December, so you're definitely going to see more opportunities for staff to come out and showcase the things that they do on the side, and to be able to see that there are positive elements to the CBC and that we will share them with our communities.
Fresh off her epic Super Bowl performance, Barbadian songstress and national hero, the right excellent Rihanna Fenty, is set to once again wow audiences with a performance at the 2023 Oscars. The pop superstar will perform her Oscar-nominated song Lift Me Up, written for Marvel's blockbuster sequel Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. The song picked up a nod for Best Original Song alongside Lady Gaga's Hold My Hand from Top Gun Maverick, and is Rihanna's first Oscar nomination. The awards, to be hosted by U.S. comedian Jimmy Kimmel, is set to take place on March the 12th.
Sports Night is brought to you by Powerade. Feel the power. And Dasani Water. Connect mind and body.
It's the man who brought the Gremlins here to our CBC studios in the Pine. Let's go over to Damien now in the sports studio.
A number of former West Indies players will be rolling back the years as they take the field at Foursquare Oval tomorrow. They will be contesting the rescheduled final of the Barbados Masters Cricket 35 overs a side tournament. That clash between UWI and the Barbados National Oil Company Limited had started in 2020, but heavy rain prohibited a result in that one. And before another date was set, COVID-19 restrictions delayed the tournament for a further 2 years. Coordinating member Sam Wilkinson says plans are already in place for next year.
once the finals gets going on Saturday, we hope that the weather will be fine and support us this time around, then we will schedule the annual general meeting of the clubs. Because the time factor has changed significantly, in one respect, because we've been able to reach out to some of the clubs and teams by putting the game back to this Saturday because it was inconvenient for some clubs to play before. And as a consequence, quite a few Saturdays would have gone by. Now that we have the real factor is that we're now going to look at the rest of the season by having the annual general meeting before the end of this year, God willing, and then we'll make an early announcement for the start of the 2024 season in the month of January. And that has to do a lot with the facilities and the grounds and the clubs and the insurance indebtedness, which is now a major requirement since last year played, Adrian, that we must now meet right up front.
Well, NSC Combined Schools Trident suffered their third straight defeat as the Co-Operators General Insurance BABA Premier League continued last night at the Worley Gymnasium. The defending champions, Burger King Clapham Bulls, came from 3 points down, 33-36, at halftime to record a 74-60 victory over the Schoolboys. For the Bulls, Andrew Eiffel scored 15, Amal Smith 14, Keelan Phillips 11, and Joshua Gibbs 10. Captain Rory Taylor, Naib Brown, and Tristan Yard all had 11 points for the Tridents. Meanwhile, Pylons crushed Lakers Sports Club in the feature match.
Feature match in the BABA Premier League. Pylons in black battling Lakers Sports Club. Rashid Maynard, hustle play using the window to good effect. Here comes LSC. Jonathan Doughton working the paint right down Broad Street. Nicely done. The boys from Husbands in big trouble, trailing 17-62 at halftime. Baskets few and far between. Darion Hurley poured in 31 points and had 13 rebounds, while Devron Knight backed him up with 23 points and 18 rebounds. Lakers had a poor night shooting, just 23% from the field. Justin Bramo netting a team-high 18 points. For Pylons, it was just about sealing the deal in the second half. Charles Vanderpool to Knight banks it in. Then Vanderpool from the top of the key, deep two. This one over minus any resistance, 104-52. Here, it was exhibition stuff.
In business tonight, a public-private sector renewable energy options meeting is important for Barbados. That's the word from the Minister of Energy and Business, Senator Lisa Cummins, and she made the revelation. She delivered remarks at the start of the meeting with the Nissan Motor Company, Courtesy Garage, and the Goddard's Group. Well, she said Barbados will have to overcome supply challenges as it transitions to a green environment.
There are supply chain challenges globally in energy, in the procurement of battery storage, in transformers. All of the equipment required for the battery storage and all of the innovations are on supply chain shortage, are facing supply chain shortage challenges. That means that companies like Nissan, in partnership with companies like Courtesy, establishing a commercial presence here in Barbados to facilitate both the manufacturing to service the domestic market, and of course to meet the government's policy objectives, and then of course to expand throughout the region, will become even more important.
Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer Anthony Ali said the initiative is among the ways the Goddard's Group is helping to shape the future of the automotive industry.
Historically, when you think about Nissan and Courtesy, you think about cars, mobility, parts, and service. But our business goes well beyond this into the sphere of innovation and the necessities brought about by way beyond our historical position. Today, our business deals with green and renewable energies, technology, energy management, climate change abatement, grid stability, energy storage through V2G, and I'll let Diana talk about that later on, and cost-effective solutions for energy distribution. Oh, did I forget? We also sell cars.
Let's go to the city now, where the Office Restaurant, that's in Bridgetown, it has reopened under new management. Manager Natasha Austin Morris has told the Business Report their biggest challenges currently are accessibility and space.
The main challenges we're facing is customers, especially tourists who come to Bridgetown. They're accustomed to having maybe dining in the alley. They have health issues, and a lot of tourists with health issues. We have stairs. They cannot climb the stairs. So we would like to extend, because our space is small. So during the week, we have to turn away people, a lot of people. So if we can have extra space, like in the alley, for example, we can solve that problem.
Some more sports for you now. Let's go back over to Damien.
Thanks so much, Shane. Well, Set B ruled the track to come away as winners of the Coleridge and Paris School Sports Day at the Usain Bolt Sports Complex. Set B amassed 740 points to Set A 677, Set E 631, Set F 616, with Sets D and C rounding out the standings with 503 and 394 points respectively. Here, CBC's Amory Burt takes a look at the 400-meter events.
It was a joint sports day between Coleridge and Parry and the Allen School. So as you can expect, there was good support in the stands. These are the 400s from CP, picking up the under-13 boys with just about 200 meters left. And while Romani Adams looked good on the outside there in his blue shirt, the others ran a different race strategy, saving a little in the tank for the home stretch. So here comes Jamari Cyrus on the inside in the orange shirt. Let his facial expression tell it all. He's fighting for home, and he would make it there first. Second and third separated by photo finish Antonio Brung in the yellow ahead of Green's Tyrese McLean. The under 15 girls, 300 meters conquered, final 100 to go. And it will be an orange sweep led by the fast finishing Shanira Reed. Are we sure she ran 400? She looks like she has so much more left in there. Her arms and legs pumping as the finish line comes closer and closer. She's your champion. Her housemates Zanaya Cullimore and Jansia Grant with those second and third positions. It was a dominant run in the under 15 boys as Zarel Harding, he had established enough data between himself and the rest of the field, did not feel the pressure in the final meters. But yet still, he kept that fast and steady pace. What a beautifully executed race. His housemate Shakoti Warrow was in second, with Purple's Jaquan Williams in third. And quite like Zarel's run, Zoe Thomas had the same script plotted out for her race. Made that first 300 all hers, surging ahead and then leaving enough space to just jog home. She was a picture of composure, focus, and pretty much calmness as she cruises home, orange with yet another victory, and sauntering in for second and third were Kanesia Oxley and Amara Harewood. Time now for a more competitive race. The under 17 boys brought just that, as at this stage it was Jocardo Adams and Zari Dalloway going stride for stride. But there was no calling it just yet, as in sliced Caden Doris Roach, Nikolai Clark, and Kashawn Griffith. Here we go. Who made that crucial move? Who had it left in the tank? Doris Roach stepped to the front, and it was signed, sealed, and delivered. He was your winner. Nope, no one over your shoulder, but watch this late surge from Griffith of Purple, who dips in the head of Clark. That's what I like to see. On the 20 girls, the first 300 heading into the final 100 was a bit pedestrian. But then Shayla Clark decided she was going home with the gold and made her move, extending her strides, trying to control her breathing as she pulled away and fulfilled her mission, winning ahead of Jara Lewis. There were just 3 on the 20 boys. Yes, I said just 3. And the race pretty much should be going in the blue house cap, thanks to Wayne Clark, who made all the early running. But hold on, wait a minute. Let's flip the script. As here comes Caden Brewster in an all-out sprint. Clark is losing steam, and Brewster just upsets the apple cart. His name will be written down as the champion. CP had their day at Usain Bolt.
Well, that's it for this edition of CBC NewsNight. I'm Shane Seeley. Good night and enjoy your weekend. Thanks for visiting us. Now, if you want to see more stories like this one, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And you can always go to cbc.bb for the latest news and current affairs.